Welcome, everyone, to our monthly Recruiter on Call with Jobs. I am delighted to welcome Tina Palomino today. She is chiming in from where specifically?
I'm in Miami.
Miami. Guess who's going to Miami next weekend? Me.
Well, that's exciting. What's going to be bringing you down here? I hope it's not the weather.
Well,
Hurricane season.
my daughter is actually working at the Miami airport.
Oh,
And so we're flying down to Fort Lauderdale, renting a car. It was cheaper to fly to Fort Lauderdale than Miami. We're going to rent a car. We're going to see some sights along the way. We'll get to Miami. And while she's working on the 29th, um, I can do a little exploring of Miami. So then we're gonna get a car again. Oh no, I guess we have the same car, and we're gonna drive to Orlando. And I'm a Disney nerd, so we're definitely going to go see Mickey Mouse and Gang again because we have an annual pass.
excellent. Well, that sounds like a great trip. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope folks can hear us. It shows that we're live here. So welcome everyone. Um, We're going to do a couple introductions to start out. I want to welcome Tina, but I'll let her do her proper introduction after I do mine. So I'm Lynne Williams. I'm based out of the suburbs of Philadelphia in Paoli, Pennsylvania, to be specifically. I write resumes and LinkedIn profiles. I run a 501c3 nonprofit that does 18 to 25 career education and networking events a month. I'm working on, or maybe I should say, I should be working on writing my doctoral dissertation on the topic of LinkedIn for job seekers. So hopefully I will start that after I do my road trips this summer. And if you want to know more about me and all my links, just go to my LinkedIn profile and under gobsmacking resources, right under my headline, that is where you'll find all the links to the nonprofit and me speaking and the nonprofit events and, whatnot. So, Tina, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks. Well, I'm excited to be here today. My name is Tina Palomino. I am in Miami, Florida. Like I mentioned, I have a background in people operations and talent. I've been in the industry for a while, over a decade. Let's just keep it there. And I am the co-founder of JS Careers. We help job seekers find jobs faster by accelerating your job search techniques and foundations in a community of impact support players. So I also partner with, and I am the recruiter and talent lead at Maffei Resources. So when you combine both of those communities, that's why I think Lynn and I have such a good synergy, is that we help job seekers find jobs faster and then connect them with the right people and communities to push those into successful relationships.
Awesome. So you said you've been in your role over a decade. So what does each of your companies do? What do they specialize in?
So the two companies that I'm in right now, I've been in for about a year, but I've been in the talent acquisition space for over a decade. So specifically in the recruiting side of things for Fortune 500 all the way down to 1 to 2 person startups, where I've supported all of the talent and hiring needs in that way. So the recruiting side, the talent side, is where I really thrive. And so my companies have taken all of that foundational knowledge, the community support, the learnings that I've had, the market insights, and we have created a community and platform that shares back that knowledge and then connects with those foundations to employers all over the country.
Awesome. So do you specialize in, let's say, IT or healthcare or just kind of like whatever comes your way?
So we're industry agnostic with the exception of we do not support healthcare. So
Okay.
anything with credentialing in hospitals and things like that, unfortunately, we don't support that. So the types of jobs and the types of career support that we work with are going to be things like operations, marketing, sales, executive leadership, entry level career pivoters, and then technologies like engineers, so developers, architects, things like that as well.
Okay, great. So, what the heck is happening out there in the world of job search? Is it crazy or what? What's going on? What kind of trends or changes are you seeing from your perspective?
From our perspective and from the job seekers perspective in our community, this is absolutely, and I'm sure many can attest to this, probably one of the most tumultuous and challenging environments I think we've seen in a really long time, in the sense that it's taking a really, really long time for even the most qualified candidates to find and secure positions. It is an extremely saturated candidate market, and it's making it really difficult for candidates to stand out. There's a lot of misinformation, shallow solutions, and temporary fixes that are misleading, devaluing, and kind of demotivating the job seekers in a really vulnerable time. So I think with the combination of all of those things, we're just seeing a lot of restrictions, barriers, and setbacks for the job seekers. Are you seeing that as well?
I have very frustrated job seekers in
Yes.
my group. Like we have over 7,700 members on our meetup, and that does not even include all our members who are on our website, not part of the meetup. And we have some long-term unemployed people.
Right.
Um, so, you know, I hate to say this, but I've had people with tears,
Mm-hmm.
women and men, um, who are just shaking their heads. They just, they just can't believe why it's taking so long or why they're ghosted,
Mm-hmm.
etc. Yeah.
Yep. We're seeing the same things, and the market of the job search isn't getting any easier, and the market in cost of living and the challenges around just access to things are also compounding to that. But I think what's important is that, and one of the things that we really strive to build with JSC is that the aspect of mindset and community, and leaning into those resources and continuing to build repeatable processes that are foundationally built to create momentum, which then will generate impact and velocity. Because ultimately, the job market is the way that it is. And so I think for us, it's really important that we stay motivated and support each other during these really tough times, because some people are spending, for average 4 to 7 months, but people, are coming in my community are coming across 9 to 11 months. They're coming across their
Yeah.
year. It's really, really, really tough to continue to trudge through that. And where I think we're finding a lot of people getting this, at least a little bit of comfort, is through the community and reaching out to people, and continuing to drive those positive mindset and foundational behaviors of just doing the activity, holding yourself accountable, and being consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, anyway, I know Tanvi wanted to join the stage. Um, I'm wondering, Tanvi, if you can hang tight when we get through a few more questions, and then we'll have you come up. So, Ralph, welcome. Nice to have you here, and especially Meryl. Um, Merrill Cass, I don't know what we would do without him. He is the man of the hour and helps connect people and in our community and the Thought Leadership Branding Club and whatnot. So thank you for all you do. Hi, Terry Lucky. She's chiming in from Delaware. She used to be on a board of directors of our nonprofit. And Chuck from Buffalo, Alex from Chester Springs, PA, a LinkedIn user who, I don't know, got to change your settings from Delco, PA. Um, another LinkedIn user from somewhere in Newmarket, Tennessee. Gregory Liverpool's chiming in from Canada. So that reminded me, are you only sharing jobs for the US, or do you have any that are international?
So right now we're only in the US, but we are national. So we have jobs
Okay.
in South Florida that are on site, and then we also have a number of opportunities throughout the country that are either hybrid, remote, or some of them are also on site. They're just not in Florida.
Gotcha. All right, and welcome to Dennis from Medford Lakes, New Jersey, and Charisse from New Jersey. So happy to have you here today. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about resumes now. So, what advice do you have for job seekers for crafting an effective resume that stands out? I mean, this is something I do every day. This is how I make a living, is I help people, with resumes. So without any prompting from me or you not knowing how I work, I'd like to know, what is it that you like to see on a resume?
Sure.
So maybe I could learn from you.
Sure. So from just initially, because I think many people probably know that talent acquisition people like myself, we spend about 5 to 7 seconds on any given resume. If we don't see what we're looking for, unfortunately, we move on. Right. So that's kind of the rule of thumb. So when we're thinking about resumes as a job seeker, one of the first things that we want to do is make sure that whatever you see up front, nothing, it's not just super distracting. You want to make sure that it's got, clean margins, you're consistent with your formatting, the contact information is visible, accurate. You want to make sure that you have like clear sections. So if I'm looking for your technical abilities or institutional education, or if I'm looking for, your job experience and tenure, those things are easily identifiable to me just visually right off the bat in those first few seconds.
All right, good to know. Yeah, when I work with clients, I do two resumes. I do a pretty resume with a pop of color for the human eye, and then I do a deconstructed resume for the bot to be able to read it, and extract it for the over 599 applicant tracking systems that exist right now. Does your company use an ATS?
Yeah, all the company, well, not all of them. Some of the early stages startups don't, but the majority of them have used ATSs. And so one thing we always talk about with that is that, like you said, 599 of them, they're all different. They're all, mapped by the human to look for different things. They are all infinitely customizable. They are all constantly iterating. So it's always, from my perspective, and what I always encourage is that it's really important to be consistent and clean on those blind applies or those ones that you're sending out, to make sure that something doesn't get, weird formatting doesn't happen, or if there's, like you said, the human eye one versus the program one, if there's emojis or boxes or like weird JPEGs or something like that that look beautiful, but when you're submitting them through an ATS system or any sort of HRIS system, it can omit sometimes, it'll just delete it, or it just won't get through. And so there's no way to know, since there's so many, that it is, from my perspective, important to get the essentials across, and then cater to the human when you have the opportunity to get in front of them and have a real conversation.
All right. Okay, so let's talk about LinkedIn. Like, do you go to people's LinkedIn profiles and look at them before you reach out and make a call? And what's your overall take on what you see?
So yes, I will always look at LinkedIn, and majority of that is because the vast majority of the roles that we have are sourced on LinkedIn. So your profiles are attached to your application, right? So there, that automatically puts it right in front of me. And so what I'm looking for is that there's consistency and it matches what your resume says, as far as like your titles and your tenure. What I'm not necessarily looking for, and what sometimes will throw me or a hiring manager off, is if I'm looking through your LinkedIn and you have a huge block of words and all the things that you've done, and then I look at your resume and it's different.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You've gotta have those qualifications and skills and be able to talk about them.
Yep. Be consistent. So I would rather see a slimmed down LinkedIn that has your company, your title, your tenure, one sentence about maybe what the company is if they're not well known, and then one sentence about like the summary of what you did and your impact there. So it doesn't conflict with the different iterations of the resume that you're going to submit for the application. I would rather have that than a conflict between the two when I'm assessing the resume, or if my hiring manager comes back to me and says, why does this person say that they do this, this, and this? It's either is or isn't on their resume. Like, what do I believe?
Yeah. Well, I'm all about the consistency. I believe if we work hard to get a really well established base resume, with metrics in every single bullet point, dollars, numbers, percents, how'd you help a company make money, save time, improve processes? How many people did you supervise? How many people were on the team that you worked on? How many employees in your company, etc. It doesn't always have to be individual accomplishments if you can't come up with something. But I think if it's well written, your resume can go on your LinkedIn profile, but of course you expand your LinkedIn profile above and beyond that. But I'm definitely all about the consistency there. So now here's a thing. Like I had a client who was project manager 3, and I'm like, well, that's not in LinkedIn's database for those who use
Right.
Recruiter or Recruiter Lite. So you have to call yourself project manager. On your resume, you can call yourself project manager 3. So hopefully people don't get bothered by that, that slight difference.
Yeah, I think that is those nuances I think are very easily spoken to, and I agree about the having the articulating a consistent story and the impact that you had through each of those experiences that you articulate in your resume. When I think of inconsistencies or discrepancies is when I'm looking at metrics or responsibilities or something like that just don't match, because there's often
Hmm.
times where we'll loop in hiring managers later in the process, and let's be honest, they don't look at the resume or they don't look at our emails, right? So they just go to the person's LinkedIn because they have their name because it's on their calendar. um, and then when they come and say, oh well, this person's LinkedIn is on here, and what is I, this says all these different things, and I'm like, well, did you look at their resume? They go, no. I go, well, you need to look at the resume because that's what you're speaking on. Then the idea would be like if they look at the LinkedIn and they say, oh well, this person looks human, they say they're doing this, okay, we'll move on. And that just gives the candidate the opportunity to speak on their story to the person, instead of starting on your back foot with a hiring manager, which I've had happen, come in and say, so and so candidate, I see you on your resume it says this, on your LinkedIn it says you did this and this, which one is right?
Yeah, yeah,
So instead of
yeah.
trying to start on your back foot there, if you have it slimmed down, and then then your opening question is, tell me about yourself. And then you have the control in that moment to add value and impact and set the foundation for your narrative in that moment with that person.
But if you don't have a resume in hand and you are going out and seeking talent, via talent acquisition, looking for people, don't you want to see not the slim down version? Don't you want to see the impact on the LinkedIn?
I would like to see some of it. That's why I said, like, if anything, I never advocate for just to be blank, because then it kind of looks
Yeah.
like you be a bot
Yes.
or something, right? Like then it looks fake. It looks like a shell. But where I like to see is I like to see what the company does, because really what I'm looking for from a talent standpoint on this cursory view is, are you in a relatable industry? And would you have transferable skills or applicable industry knowledge that would be applied to this position? And then two, what is your overall responsibilities and contributions to it? So I don't necessarily need in my cursory view to see all of these like very nuanced specific things, because I'm also not qualifying you against one specific thing in that cursory view. But what I would like to see is what the company does, and then I'm a product in your description would be a great time to put this too, Lynn, right? I'm a project manager 3. I have a team of 4 people, and we assess the structural integrity and the technology solutions for national B2B SaaS companies. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Because that'll give me, as a talent person, I will be able to say, oh, now I know what this company does, and it's industry related, and that's what I do. I know they have people leadership. I'm looking for that. And I don't need SaaS, but they do technology.
Yep. You can put all the puzzle pieces together.
Yep. And then I get to reach out to them, and then that's an opportunity for the candidate to tell me everything they want to tell me and really qualify against the actual position or opportunity that I'm looking at them for.
All right. I want to give a hello to Sherilyn from Minnesota and Stephanie from Tampa, Lisa from Colorado, Donovan, I'm not sure where he's calling in from, Lowe's, James from Gaithersburg, Maryland, Andrew Miller from Livingston, New Jersey, and Kathy Bono says, ooh, my resume ticks all those boxes, but I can't seem to get any interviews. Oh, my. Okay, well, happy to take a look at your resume and or join greatcareers.org and check out all our other upcoming events on the events page. We've got some great stuff. We do a lot for free, but we are a 501c3 nonprofit that is volunteer run. And like any business, guess what? We have expenses. Hey, in fact, I have a $2,000 insurance bill due in the next couple weeks so we can keep operating and bring you programs like this. So we appreciate members who would like to buy us a cup of coffee a month. That's it, $5 a month. So check it out on our membership page. Okay, so Stephanie mentions I was told to make sure my LinkedIn profile essentially matches my resume. That's my mojo that I subscribe to. Ellen Marshall's chiming in from Philly. And Lowe's, yes, thank you, and have an amazing Thursday from the Netherlands. Wow, I think you win the prize for being the farthest away. Donovan is in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. I will be in Canada in a couple weeks. In Ontario, though. And Michael Rosenfeld from PA. Mitu is from Doylestown, PA. She just moved there from New Jersey. And Leslie from Louisville, Kentucky. So welcome, everyone. All right, let's go back with questions. And how does personal branding play a role in the hiring process? And how can candidates enhance their online presence?
So for us, we encourage consistency, and there's a lot of different ways for candidates to improve their brand. Part of it is engaging, building their network, reading and following thought leaders and things like that. But then it's also about being able to start sharing your own stories, things that are important to you, things that you're working on, things that you're learning. So you can start to make those warm network connections and build out those ecosystems for yourself, because you honestly never know where those opportunities are going to come from and what kind of value can come from the people that have shared interests as you.
All right. Well, I like to see people that have a, LinkedIn banner that is not the default grayish greenish blobs.
I like banners.
And, and it adds a little pop of color. And you can put your USP, unique selling proposition, in there if you'd like. But I have to say I'm not a fangirl if you're sharing a banner of a beach, a city, mountains, waterfalls. Like, that doesn't do anything for me. That's more for Facebook. Yeah. I'd rather you tell me, what you do, project management, or what your USP is. I'm not a fan of using the word help either. Like, I help such and such. I was always told not to use the word help in your USP. So, You can always ask me more about that. I've got lots of LinkedIn workshops coming up. Again, if you go to more gobsmacking resources, even if you are looking for a job, next week I'm doing LinkedIn for nonprofits. That really is about the LinkedIn profile for anybody with a few slides for nonprofits. Just hint, hint, hint. And that's with SCORE. So, okay, let's talk about interviews. How can job seekers best prepare for interviews as a candidate that you're going to submit? And do you assist with any interview preparation?
We do. So interview preparation, and I will note that debriefs are also, and just to double down on what you said, I love a banner that has your something unique about you, right? Like not just like the puppies or something like that. I love the banners like from a graphic designer that say graphic designer, UI, UX, passion and creative about like this, right? I love those. So just to reiterate that. But so back to the interview part. So interview prep and the debriefs I think are so important. So one of the things that so the first thing for any interview prep is just understanding what your own value proposition and the value creation you have. So understanding what your elevator pitch is in 1 to 3 sentences, so you can clearly get that out in the first 45 seconds, leaving the next potentially 28 to 40 minutes to the interviewer, and then really understanding where your position, the things that you've done, the value that you're bringing, the responsibilities, accountabilities that you've had, where they can relate to the different aspects of the position that you've applied for, and making sure that you are because the more confident you are in your pitch of who you are and what you bring, the easier and more flexible it's going to be to have those organic moments in the interview to be able to speak on things that are specific to that company or what's important to the audience or person you're talking to there. And then I also really encourage people to, if you can, which hopefully most of the time you will, I always recommend really going and doing a pretty significant dive on the company, not just the position, but the company as a whole. Like, what do they do? What do they believe in? What's important to them? And then also the person that you're interviewing. Go into their LinkedIn, look at the things that they've posted, the things that are important to them, the things that where they've worked before. So you just have that background and that context for yourself. So if you are presented with the opportunity to have that moment where you can connect on something that's not specific to I did this and it does this or whatnot, when you can have that moment to connect as a human, I think that those opportunities are really great too. And it gives you the chance to, it's a two-way street when you're interviewing. You want to make sure that you feel that you're getting value and that this could be a place that you could see yourself as much as they're doing the same thing. So if you can find those moments of connection and you can start to see what kind of people, culture, values they have, then that's going to strengthen your conviction or be able to shape your opinion on if this is the right opportunity for you too.
Yeah, I in the about section, I'm all about skimmable, scannable emojis for pops of color. Because when people look at that on a mobile device, if there's like paragraphs of dense text, my eyes glaze over. I'm not going to read it. Sorry. But I like people to put in icebreakers. So, what are your personal interests? And let's say you had soccer on there. Oh, well, do you like to play soccer or do you like to watch soccer? And if you watch, who's your favorite team? You ask my son-in-law, he's got like a big, huge tat of Argentina on his thigh because that's where his, family heritage comes from. So, I like a little bit of personal information so you can, get involved in building rapport with people at interviews,
Right.
and you can talk about something other than business. You got to be able to do small talk. So, do you like star stories, situation, task, action, result, what kind of common interview questions do you typically use that candidates should be ready to answer?
I like star questions in the sense that, or star answers at least, especially when they're not obviously a star answer, right? When it is it's presented as the situation and everything, but it's just more so that the candidate is able to clearly and concisely articulate the situation and the value and the impact that they had as related to the question or the scenario that has been presented. Right. So that's about the small talk and just having that confidence in your story and understanding where you bring value. And then the more confident you are with that, the more natural those articulations are going to come out and the more adaptable and flexible you'll be. Questions to, and so those are, being able to take what someone said and relate it back to something that you did in a clear and concise way. The next part you asked me about was questions that people should be wary of. So there's always the opportunity, and this is where I encourage the members that I work with, is that the more confident you are with the things that you're probably going to be asked, which are going to be about like your background and who you are, the more brain space you'll have to be adaptable when something inevitably goes left. And when someone says something or does something that's weird or off-putting, or they get on camera, they're wearing pajamas, or something just to throw you off, right? So things like if someone asks you, and this is always hard, but some iteration of, tell me about a time when you had a conflict. Or if someone hits you with something left, like, do you have kids? Or something that's a little bit less conventional, right? That you don't really know how to answer. The more confident you are with the other things that you can, the easier I've usually found it to be able to adapt to those things. So being prepared with the things that to be your own story, I think is going to help you be able to adapt to those things that inevitably, because you're talking to humans, are going to maybe set you in a funny way.
So we have a page on our website, and it's under the resources tab. It's interview resources. And I wrote a really comprehensive article on Star Stories and AI resources, and where you can do like video recordings of interview questions being asked of you. And there's also 3 videos on there, part 1, part 2, part 3, from a former recruiter who sadly passed away a few months ago, but he was like our super volunteer. And those videos are really good. If you start taking notes, your hands will be very sore. But yeah, we have some great, interview resources that are, free to everybody to access on our website. But what are the typical questions that you ask candidates?
Sure.
Like,
so I'll ask, first and foremost, I try and set the stage for the agenda of what we're going to speak about. I will generally open up with, tell me a little bit about yourself. And so that's where I'm hoping for that, 2 to 4 sentence elevator pitch so we can keep moving on. I like to ask things that are related to, tell me about something that you're most proud of as far as professionally. Sometimes I'll ask if, tell me about how you like to be coached. Tell me about one of the most impactful leaders you've worked for. Tell me about your, how do you collaborate best with different parts of the organization, right? So I'm looking for opportunities for you to show a little bit about yourself without specifically asking, when was the last time you were working in SQL and did this, right? So I'm looking for more broad answers where you're able to hopefully not only take what I said and make it personal, but then also relate it back to something that in your resume we've seen was an impact that you've driven. So you can show us how you can take either that direct experience or transfer it to how it can be helpful moving forward, because I'm looking for goodness of fit overall. So how you fit with the culture, how you fit with the environment, how I see you with the team, how I see you with the company, right? So extrapolating that out. And then also how I see your specific experiences being able to relate, maybe not even directly to the job that I'm looking at, but how it could add value to the team dynamics and our goals and objectives, because everybody comes in with a different experience. Every company does something a little bit differently. Just because you've worked on Salesforce doesn't mean you know how we work on Salesforce. But
right.
you are adaptable, you've done different iterations, you've worked on a bunch of CRMs. Those are the types of things that I like to hear about, so I can start saying, wow, well, they're going to be really adaptable. They've already worked on 4 different CRMs. Like, they have no problem picking up like this extra tool that we just added in Asana, right? Like those things to help me build a more holistic picture of what your collective experience has brought you and where you are now.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you said about like 2 to 4 sentences of tell me about yourself. Um, I'm a former K-12 teacher, and one thing I used to teach students was thesis statement writing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at a job description, my daughter's autistic and has ADHD, and when she was interviewing, years ago, this was a little tip that I gave her. I'm like, remember, you learn how to do thesis statement writing. Well, you pick 3 things out of the job description, um, and you reiterate them. In a thesis statement, you can say, well, I'm organized, detail oriented, and creative. And then you go in and explain how you're organized, and then you explain how you're detail oriented, and then you explain how you're creative. But you're mirroring back what the requirements are in the job description, because it says organized, detail oriented, and creative, or something like that. So go back to your middle school, high school days, and look up thesis statement writing, or better yet, go on greatcareers.org and type in thesis, and you will find that article I've written. I've written over 300 articles. So yeah, you'll find lots of resources there. What do you think of that idea? Does that keep it down to that, 2 to 4 sentences, so to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, every elevator pitch or every thesis that you have, like, you can it should always be relatively the same, right? Like, who you are, what value you add, and what you bring, and what you're looking for. Those are what we have. And you can interchange those, but it's always going to be who I am. My name's Tina. I'm a talent acquisition leader, and I do this and this, right? And those are those interchangeable things that you said to the audience that you're at, and then the value you bring. And then that just sets the stage for the
Mm-hmm.
audience, be it in person, in an interview, at a networking event, to understand where they can orient themselves to you as related to what you just presented with them of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay, so Stephanie has commented, Lynne Williams, I loved your LinkedIn banner resources that you provided in a past Flex Jobs webinar. Folks, I spoke at Flex Jobs in May. 3,300 people signed up, 950 showed up live, and I got so many DMs after the fact. And Flex Jobs told me it was their 12th largest registered or attended, I forget, webinar of all times. So if you go on greatcareers.org and you go to July 30th, I'm actually doing that presentation again on harnessing AI for smarter job searches. All right, so let's go on. Before we get to your particular job openings that you are trying to fill right now, excuse me. How about, I talked about greatcareers.org, so that's the nonprofit that I run, but this is also promoted by the Thought Leadership Branding Club. It is another community that I absolutely love. I guess I've been in there, I don't know, 4.5, 5 years. It's just really good people. They do really great things. So check out the events page. We have some amazing career coaches that run stuff on Clubhouse, on Restream. We have stuff available for Zoom. And, I'd say the club is really beneficial for people who are small businesses, solopreneurs, but we also have people who are employed and unemployed in the club. It's a little mix of everything. So I know the prices are going up at the end of July. So you want to, at least check it out for a month, right? It's not that big of an expense. So thoughtleadershipbranding.club, not .com, but .club. All right, back to you. Recruiter openings in, whichever company you have. What are you trying to fill? Where are they located? And do you have any remote jobs?
Yep. So I do have a handful of remote jobs. They're going to be opening up in July, and those are mostly in the technology companies. Let me get my sheet. So right now I have quite a few on-site jobs in Miami. Not in Miami, sorry, in South Florida. So I'd love to be able to share some of those. So I'm looking for accounting, finance, and administrative support in the South Florida and just like Florida area in general right now.
Okay. All right. And are those in person?
So
or hybrid or what?
Hybrid. They're hybrid. Most of them are hybrid. Only 2 of them are on site, and those are the ones that are the controller and the construction accountant. They want on site.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which kind of makes sense. Those are important, right?
All right. Other things you want to add?
So I will in the chat here, I will drop a link to my LinkedIn profile. So anybody on the call that would like to connect with me on LinkedIn and learn more about the JSC community, which is where we also post our hiring opportunities. You're welcome to connect with me and book some time for free to just connect and follow up with anything like that. There were a couple questions in the chat that I was looking at. I think Greg had said. So we do not support international opportunities right now. I saw that one. And I also saw that a question about AI and if companies are using AI, and the answer to that is absolutely. Every company is using it to a certain different degree, I would say. But from my perspective and what I'm seeing in the market and what I'm hearing from my peers is that AI is not going anywhere. It is just being leveraged differently and embraced at different paces, right? So my earnest recommendation is to continue learning, be open, and leverages the resources around you, but do that with a lot of intention, because there is a lot of misinformation and there's a lot of false flags out there. But I do think that it is worth continuing to invest attention and time with, because I do think that the talent industry, the job market, and the jobs in general we're going to see AI continue to fold itself into a lot of our day-to-day lives. And I think it's important that we all are mindful and just ask questions and iterate and see. But I don't think it's going anywhere. And Lynne, maybe you have some perspective on that.
No, it's going to be a thing and it's going to stay.
Yeah, right.
That's why I encourage job seekers, please use AI tools in your job search. Go out and listen and learn, because you need to be able to speak to it in an interview, like that you've had hands-on, experience using some AI platforms, that you're, not totally in the dark about that subject. So I use ChatGPT every day, pretty much. I do have the paid version, but Claude.ai is out there, and Perplexity, and Gemini. I mean, there's just so much. Like, I can't even list how many there are. I had a guy speak last month on Notebook LM. It was probably one of the best presentations that I have heard in a while. And he's a job seeker. So he's using it himself. And I'm like, oh my God, Chris, this is fantastic. Can you come back and can you do more workshop style, hands-on, step-by-step? So he's actually coming back next week, Wednesday and Thursday, for 2 one-hour workshops. And hopefully people could build a Notebook LM for their job search, and they're going to hear it right from a job seeker. So have you used Notebook LM at all?
I have not used Notebook LM yet.
Okay. But I do have to warn folks that is behind our paywall. You do have to be a member. So yeah, you got to buy us that cup of coffee in order to attend that. We can't do everything for free. So otherwise we will cease to exist. So, all right. What tips do you have for job seekers to reach out to you for an email introduction? Are you open to connecting with people on LinkedIn, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. So my advice to connecting with me, and I think that this goes for connecting with anybody, is for every selfish ask, I always encourage people to consider the selfless offering that you're going to be giving to that person and the value creation moment that you're looking for. Because people generally want to help. I always want to help if I can, but I also need to understand what I'm doing. And if I can't help, then it's often easy for people to say, "Oh, well, if you reach out to me and say, hey, are you hiring for this job?" and I'm not, then I don't know, right? And so like I can't really help, especially if I'm like doing a million things. But if you reach out to me and say, "Hey, I was looking at this company and I saw this position. I was wondering if you could give me some insights on it." That is different, because then I can say, "Well, I'm not hiring for it, but you can do this and this or whatever and share resources." So for me, I would like I will happily connect with anybody. That's why I dropped my link there. If there's something specific that you're looking for, if you're looking for resume help, career services help, you see somebody in my network that you'd like an introduction to, let me know how I can help, like specifically, and then it'll help facilitate the conversations and the next steps, those clear action items for both of us, and after we are able to connect.
Okay. So I'm going to say hi to a couple people that also on here. Hey, Felipe. Felipe is a recruiter, talent HR, and he's been the guest on this particular platform before. And hi, Jay. And hi, Rachida. I hope I'm saying that right. Glad to have you here today. And let's see who else is on here. All right. I have one more question to ask, and then I'm going to invite anybody from the audience to come up. And Felipe, if you have any jobs that you want to share, if you want to come up, Meryl has the link, and maybe I can, let's see, I think I have the link too. I don't know if I can put it in the chat. Meryl, are you able to put it in the chat? And that way, if anybody does want to come up, we'd welcome them and they can ask questions live. So I know somebody else wanted to come up earlier, but wasn't quite ready for that. I normally invite the guests up at the end. So while we're waiting to see if anybody comes up, oh, thanks, Rachida. If you have a candidate you've submitted for a position, what tips can you offer job seekers as a follow-up after the interview? Do you reach out to them right away? Should they reach out to you and share their excitement, or, whatever? Like, what's the normal follow-up time?
Yep. So I love to get thank you notes. I think it's a great practice to continue to acknowledge and have thank you notes. I always encourage my candidates to reach back out to me so we can debrief afterwards, and then so I can get their perspective on things, and then also reasonably, hopefully, it's usually within the next 1 to 3 days that the hiring manager or the hiring team will be able to internally debrief, and then we can get feedback back to the candidate, right? But in the meantime, for the candidate, following up with your recruiter that after you finish up, letting them know how things went, and express your excitement, it is great, and it gives you a touch point. And then if you haven't heard from them, we're busy, so it is okay to respectfully reach out, within it's kind of like a sales thing with like the cadence of like 1, 3, 5, 7, right? To say, hey, I just wanted to check in, see if there's any updates or anything that, you might need from my end, because I know that one of the biggest frustrations for candidates and for myself too, just in life, is being ghosted. It never feels good. It's honestly, it's uncalled for. Like that you should, just for human beings, like we should respond to each other, right? When we can, especially if we've engaged in some sort of like interaction of an interview or something like that. So respectfully following up and seeking those answers or that feedback for yourself, I personally think is reasonable, and I think is deserved to be able to have that. They might not be able to give you details of the feedback, but they should at least be able to give you an answer of yes, we're moving forward, or no, we're not.
All right. So here's the deal. Meryl just put a beautiful comment in the chat saying that Tina is one of the best guest recruiter presenters I've had. And I accidentally screwed up and I don't know, I sent it into no man's land, and I apologize for that, Meryl. I'm not the most proficient person on Restream. So I don't even know how to go back and retrieve that lovely message for Tina to see. So if you'd like to post it again,
well, thanks for acknowledging it. I didn't see it either.
Oh, I pushed a button and on the like 3 little dots, and it went like poof. And okay. Yeah, I think it was like if you have a rude comment or something like that, you can make it go poof. And yeah. And I didn't mean to do that. I apologize, Meryl, because Meryl's one of the good guys. So I don't know if you guys can see my my link or not. It says it's only going to Facebook and YouTube to jump in on Restream. So maybe if somebody else posts it, that's in our like small recruiter on call chat that's outside of this event, or maybe Felipe, since you're on there. Felipe has a question, but let me see if Felipe can post this. I don't know what it is. Why can't I make it go on LinkedIn? Here you go. Yeah, Felipe, if you could pop that in the chat, that would be great. So Felipe's question is, what do you tell candidates about using AI when reaching out to recruiters?
My answer to that is do your best to make sure it doesn't look like you used AI to reach out to recruiters. And I say that kind of funny and kind of not funny, but so I really believe that AI is going to continue to help us be more efficient, but I don't fundamentally believe that it's going to replace the human aspect of everything that we do and the connectivity that we have, right? So I think that AI is, and I use it all the time too, Lynn, is it helps us do things faster. It helps us be more concise. It helps us be more direct. It helps us just move quicker, right? So when you're reaching out in cold emails, I saw that from Donovan, when you're asking about follow-ups or thank you notes and stuff, getting a foundation and giving yourself directional guidance using AI, I think is great. I think it's helpful, it's efficient, but then make it your own still, and make sure that you are adding something from the conversation that y'all had that makes it personal, that connects it back. Make sure you're being conscientious of a call to action, that you're being conscientious of like the formatting and things like that to make sure that you are still coming through, even though you are using AI to help support the effort.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Felipe, for posting that. If you guys want to come up on stage, and the app.restream is what you push, and I should get some notification and I can let you on.
Cool.
So here's something that I keep running across. I hear from other recruiters that people are sending cover letters and they all look the same because they've all come from ChatGPT. Are you seeing that?
Cover letters and thank you letters. Yeah, I and that's why I said like use AI, but don't make it look like you're using AI.
Yeah. So I have, when I work with clients, I have a couple cover letter templates, and I'm like, okay, you can get your information from ChatGPT, but like weave it into this format so it
Right.
doesn't look exactly the same. And you absolutely positively have to have, human interview or overview in anything you get from ChatGPT. So Kathy says, "Oh, I use Notebook LM and it's fantastic." Oh, I haven't set up a Notebook LM. I'm so excited about this workshop. I recorded the last one, and I have not gone back in to watch it, step by step. So I'm like, I'm just going to wait for him to come Wednesday and Thursday next week, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But next week, we actually have a couple workshops that are for client seekers or solopreneurs, small businesses, or people that are thinking about starting some sort of a side gig. We also have um, uh, content for job seekers as well as, people that are employed. So go to greatcareers.org/events, and up at the top you'll see event quick list. That way you'll see the whole list of what's coming up through the end of July. Even though I'm now booking speakers, believe it or not, for October, I haven't had the time to build August and September yet, but we are building a new website and we may have a new registration platform. So I'm kind of cautiously building just through July at the moment. So anyway, you get more kudos here. So well said, Tina. And Donovan has a question. What are the dead giveaways and emails that tell you that AI wrote it?
Emojis.
Emojis, okay. And the elongated M dashes,
Yep.
and the dashes that are longer, they're called M dashes versus N dashes. Yep. Felipe says the worst is when they all use the same LinkedIn AI assistant and all the messages look exactly the same in the opening line.
Yep.
Yep. Well, I'm not seeing anybody that wants to come up on stage and answer any or ask any questions. So I've got a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
So what else have I not asked you that you would like to share? Oh, somebody's coming up.
Oh, just kidding. Good, because that was a tough one.
Okay. All right. All right, Rashida, how can we help you? What question do you have? Let's see. Can she talk?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep, we can hear you now. Yep.
Yay! All right. My questions, first of all, thank you for having this event to help us job seekers. My question is, after you have talked with a recruiter on the phone and on email, they recommend you for the job, you submit your resume, you submit your application, and then you're at a brick wall. They say, oh, it'll take a week or two for the hiring manager to get some availability for an interview. But they never talk to you again, and I have to reach out on email and be like, I'm trying to be patient and professional, but do you have any updates? Are there any openings for interviews yet? I don't want to be pushy, but I don't want them to keep stalling. How would you address that situation?
That's a great question, and I know that's probably super relatable to a lot of people here. And this is where I help our members figure out or establish an outreach cadence, and then the value moments and the action items that we have for each of those touch points back. Because the reality is both of your jobs to be able to get, a job, right? And so you're not going to be pushy. There's a chance that you can be unprofessional, right? But I doubt that's going to be you here. But reaching back out, being understanding and giving them those pings and reminders, I always do. So the day, reach out the day of, and then it's like the 3-5-7 rule is what we do. It's kind of like a sales cadence, and reaching back out to them and then giving them different things, right? So hi so-and-so recruiter, just wanted to check in and see if X hiring manager has some availability at this week. I'm available these times in case any of these work for them. So making things as frictionless as possible for the end user and prompting them with action items to help facilitate that along will either get them to be like, oh yeah, I have to do that and move forward, or say, oh, the hiring manager is still busy, we'll have to check in and be like, okay, great. Thanks for letting me know. When should I check back in? Right. So getting those specific time frames and then not only holding them accountable to this is when you said to do it, but then you can come back to them. And that shows follow through, persistence, and interest on your part as well. And again, keeping that professional boundary and just being respectful and inquisitive and helpful, right? Because you want to help, because you really are interested in this and you really enjoyed your conversation. So you want to help. So that's kind of the mindset that I would have. And then giving yourself the confidence and the space for yourself to say, no, I deserve to I need an answer. Like, they said they're going to do this, so let's do it. And holding them accountable too. I think you can give yourself that grace to be a little bit more proactive in that way too.
All right. Any other questions? You're welcome.
That's my question for now. Thank you, ladies.
Is that helpful, Rashida?
Very helpful, yes, because I did the first part of what you said. I asked in a professional tone. I said, have you heard anything regarding what the hiring manager's availability is? Because you said to wait a week or two, that time has elapsed, and I was just wondering if the availability has started to open up yet. But I didn't give my availability. Maybe I should follow up in 3 days with that.
When did you send that first one?
On yesterday.
Yesterday? Yeah. So what I might recommend is, say, if you haven't heard anything back by end of day tomorrow, write them back and say, I understand that you're probably busy, but I wanted to close up the week and offer my availability for next week. Give them 3 to 4 days. And remember, today is a holiday observed by a number of organizations. So just be mindful of that.
Okay.
And just say,
yeah.
I'd like to close up the week and make sure that we can start proactively provide my availability for next week, because I continue to be extremely interested in this opportunity for X reason and looking forward to talking to so-and-so. Please let me know if any of these times work for so-and-so next week. I will gladly work with their schedule, right? So give them, make it easy for them, because if they're coming back to work tomorrow and they can bang that out really quickly, then that would be really valuable for both of you, right?
Okay, I'll try that. Thank you.
All right. Tina, are you okay staying on a little bit? Because I brought Gregory up and
Sure.
He has a question.
No problem.
Go ahead, Gregory. We can probably hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep. Sure can.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the person who raised the AI algorithm question. Tensa, that's how you pronounce your first name? That's how you pronounce your first name, Tensa?
Tina.
Sorry. The reason why is, I'll just give you a little background on me. I'm a 43-year-old Black male with 2 disabilities on the spectrum and ADHD. And I am virtually very leery of, since what just happened in the HR tech world in regards to a similar person with the similar type of age, racial demographic, and disability set, that their applications were not being looked at by a live human and was basically instantly screened out. So that's why I am very leery that in terms of AI algorithms are being used in the ATS type of system, that it's screening a lot of people of my kind out of the employment process. And I'm thinking, is there something that we could basically, in the HR space as a whole, to basically make sure that it is that human eyes are looking at resumes rather than machine eyes in this regard per se?
Sure. So, Greg, would you mind summarizing the question for me again? I just want to make sure that I'm clear what's being asked.
My question is, as everybody, as I'm in the HR space looking for HR type of opportunities, and you're in the HR space in the HR space, what can we basically do as an HR job seeker who has the same disability track as a similar thing happened with a very popular ATS, that people like me are being looked at by human eyes in terms of their resumes, not by AI algorithm eyes in a nutshell.
So I guess, Tina, when you have people come and apply through the ATS system, okay,
Mm-hmm.
do you look at all resumes that come through? Do you use like parameters that do contextualization and give a percentage score of a match of the person between the resume? And if somebody has a disability, should they check little boxes or not? Like anything, you can give feedback on would probably be helpful to Gregory because he is in HR and he's looking for, HR roles. But just like, him and anybody else, um, we don't always know if the recruiters or talent acquisition are getting all the resumes.
Right. Okay. Thanks for that, Lynn. I appreciate it. So one thing I think is really important for most people to that this is where I spoke again about some misinformation out there. So Lynn had alluded to the fact that there are over 500, almost probably over 600 different ATS systems in the market right now. One of the things that is just like factually untrue about all ATS systems or ATS systems in general is that they are somehow a human replacement. ATS systems are human enhancements, and a lot of what the ATS systems can screen for is whatever the human is able to put on the back end to map to those applications. So most of the time, all the ATS system is a content management system. The reason ATS systems exist is because they are bolt-on services to HRIS systems that help facilitate the talent pipeline and the management of that information as it relates to getting them into the company's pipeline of hiring, into their payroll, their benefits, their performance systems, all of that stuff. So oftentimes ATS systems have been a luxury item that are add-ons to the HRIS systems that larger organizations use. Smaller organizations sometimes don't even have ATS systems, and they certainly aren't going to be able to go one for one on every single criteria that is in a job description, especially since those job descriptions are usually generalized. So when you're looking to assess from an HR standpoint if people are looking at those resumes, the answer is that nobody really knows because there's so many variables and factors. But what we can do as an HR community is continue to educate each other, continue to share knowledge and resources on what systems, what processes, what considerations, and what the market is doing, so we can all be better at leveraging the tools and the resources that we have available to us. Because we all want to be efficient, but being in HR, being in talent, just having a servant mindset, I think we all still want to do what's in the best interest of one another. And growing talent and teams and organizations is all about the people. And regardless to the AI tools that are available, I think that general ethos for the talent and HR community of the people first and making companies stronger by the people is what is really what we hold the strongest. So I hope that's helpful, Greg, because I don't think there's one just blanketed answer about how many people will get seen by things and what ATSs do what and all that stuff. There's a lot of black box information and a lot of variability with everything and all the different organizations and everything that we do as in the space.
Yeah, because I will just leave it at this point. I will just leave it as a takeaway. I somewhat totally agree with you. AI is a good, wonderful tool, but when it's used to basically replace executive human decision making, that's where I will say that's where it crosses the line for me as a racialized person on this holiday Juneteenth celebration, and as well as is a very uberly counterproductive way in regards to DEIAB, and this is one for you, Miss Williams,
Yes.
J type of type of mentality, principles, policies, and procedures. And I find that in my last 10 after what happened with this situation with with a very popular ATS system, I am very, very leery, and this is where I will say my trust issues has basically been somewhat shot in my view. So I'll just leave it at that. Seriously, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. So, Tina, just as an FYI, I run the 501c3 nonprofit, and I'm all about not just DEI, but DEI BAJ. You know, belonging, accessibility, and justice. So, you know, we welcome everyone to our nonprofit. So, anything else you want to add before we wrap up? Thank you so much for staying over a little bit.
No problem. It was a pleasure to be here. I hope that everybody here found it valuable. And, you know, I encourage everyone to connect with me and continue to share resources and knowledge, because I firmly believe that we're stronger together. And it's moments like these and events like this that I think help educate and lift everybody who's going through what I know is to be a really up and down hard time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't have a recruiter set up for July yet. If you have any referrals, Tina, or anybody else online of somebody that I should invite, I typically do this on the third Thursday of the month at lunchtime Eastern time, 12:30 to 1:30. So I like to connect with them in advance. The only thing is, I'm going to be doing a bit of a road trip from the 28th to the 14th. I have more limited availability. So I'm hoping that I can nail this down next week. So anyway, thanks so much for coming and joining us and sharing your insights and knowledge. Definitely appreciate it. So have a great day, everyone. I'm going to end the stream now, and thanks for coming, Tina.
Thank you.